Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pipeline Podcast. I'm your host today, Daren Mcclimans, and today I am joined by Maximos. How's it going, man? How are you?
I'm very fine, sir. I'm very happy to be here. Let's talk about one of our favorite villains.
Yes, thank you for coming on here. So yeah, I mean, it's officially Halloween season for us. I love this kind of like time of year. I think it's just a very fun time. Are you a fan of like this holiday at all?
I think it's very fine. The spooky theme is very cool sometimes. And I really like the skeletons, and it's really good for me.
Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, I think this is a really fun time of year. It's just kind of a fun time to chill and talk about some of our favorite villains and some of our favorites. Anything, I guess.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So without further ado, we can just jump right in. So our first kind of let's just kind of jump into our show real. So our first headline here, I don't know how big of like a Disney fan you are at all, but they really like making these live action reboots. They seem to be really into them. And yesterday, there's been a lot of rumors over the last couple of days of Frozen, Tarzan, Tangled, and Princess and the Frog all being in the works. Have you seen any of these like live action reboots that they've made?
I see a couple of live actions. The last one I see was The Lion King.
Yes.
And I really didn't like it. And yet, Frozen and Tarzan, I really don't think that Frozen is very new, and they are making Frozen 3. It's too soon for a live action for me, at least.
Yeah, no, I am 100% there. I mean, I have enjoyed a couple of them that have come out. I think there are some solid ones, and there are some I have enjoyed. But I do think that the rate that they are making them and they're putting them out can be a little frustrating. Especially with like 3 of these franchises are currently still having stuff made. With like Frozen 3 and the like Tiana series is happening and the Moana series is happening. So it's like why don't you prioritize the animation stuff first, and then once that's kind of all finished, maybe then we can talk about a live action. Um,
Yes,
but
I
I don't.
was surprised because they are making a Tiana show in 2D, and it's really weird that they thinking right now about the live action.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's strange. It's definitely strange. I think all four of these definitely can be done in like a live action. Like I think they can translate well. Especially like a Tarzan, which we have seen a couple of times in the past. Like we've seen him translated before, so that I think can work. Um, Princess and a Frog, I guess, can work as well. I don't know. I'm going to be very curious again how it all kind of
Yeah,
translates
and
over.
I don't like how they made the animals in live action.
Yeah.
That's because I am a little worried about. Imagine the in Tangle, the iguana, the lizard. I don't know the name. Um, the pet of the blonde one, of the girl that is in live action. I don't know how they gonna translate that. If it's gonna be like in the Little Mermaid, in the Little Mermaid,
Yeah.
when Sebastian is not looking good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely enjoyed that movie, but I did wish that some of the like sea life looked a little bit better, and I wish that they looked a little. I think it looked too real for me, and it was sometimes hard to translate over.
Yeah, they are. These are fairy tales.
Mhm.
They don't need to look that realistic.
Sure.
But I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they all end up looking like, and what the final product ends up being. Um, yeah, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how they all kind of turn out ultimately. Alrighty, moving along here. Robert Kurtman says that we could do a Boys and Invincible crossover. So, are you a fan of either one of these shows or both shows at all?
I really like the Invincible show,
Hmm.
but then didn't watch The Boys, and I watched a couple of episodes, and I say it's a little too dark for me,
Mm.
but I really need to watch it. I hear only good things about it, and I can say if they could make a crossover, it can be really good.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm. This is something that I think fans have kind of talked about for a while now, where it's like these shows are very similar in kind of their tones and kind of their like bloodiness of how they operate. I think both shows are both very very good. Obviously, both owned by Amazon, um both very popular at the moment, and I think they are very similar in just how they tell their stories, both having this like evil Superman type character in them with Homelander and the Omni-Man, and I think that's all very cool. I would be very curious what a crossover would look like, though. Obviously, these are two very different like mediums. Like I would be very curious how that would operate. Would it be in like live action? Would it be an animated project?
I
I don't
I I
know.
think it could work animated because The Boys has an animated show, right? The Boys Diabolical, I think, and but it would be really good if we can see an Invisible live action.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd be very curious to see what that looks like. I know this upcoming season is going to be a like multiverse kind of themed season. There's been a lot of like rumors about like could they jump over to some of these other franchises. Obviously, that's maybe not something you'd want to see with so many of these other projects doing that currently with your MCU, your DC stuff. All these franchises are doing that kind of story, and like there's been like it's been a last couple months have been like, will they cross over with Spider-Man? Will they do The Boys? So I'd be very curious to see what we ultimately end up doing.
Yeah, it could be really good. Of course, Amazon has treated very well with Invincible. I can read a little of the comics on Invincible, and it has nothing to do against the series. The series is a really good adaptation,
Mhm.
and Amazon giving the second season a really good animation. But we later talk about that.
Yeah, no, I, I'm gonna be very curious. If I don't know if this is a thing we're actually going to see, but it'll be very interesting either way.
Yeah,
Um,
it could be really good.
it could, yeah, I think it could turn out well.
Yes.
So the new trailer for Invincible recently dropped this week. Season 2, again, it is on the way. It is coming. Um, and again, this show has been such a long time coming. It kind of dropped in the middle of like what 2021, like late 2020. And like no one really knew kind of like what it was, or no one saw it coming. It dropped, it blew everyone away, and then it left for like 3 years. Did you enjoy the first season?
And yeah, I look it up when it dropped weekly, but when it was over, I watched it all in 2 days, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, this season two is having a really really good animation budget in comparison to the first one, and it's looking really great.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree. I was kind of shocked how good this new season looked, because like I didn't think season 1 looked bad. Like there were people who were really like dogging on it. And I was like, "Oh, it could look a lot better." That's not something that I normally care about, but there is very clearly a step up in between the first season and this current season. And it's kind of amazing to see. And I'm very excited to see what the season has in store, because again, that first season was just so incredible. Like it was such a journey. And like did you had you read the comics in like preparation for the first season, or did you not
No,
know like
no,
anything?
I read the comics a little bit
Okay.
after I
After,
see
okay.
it, and I really didn't like the art of the comic, and I didn't follow. I didn't continue reading, and I stopped. I could give it a try later, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like
This this
sorry.
season two, the end of the trailer, it's very ends very well. It's like again another mystery. What's about that? When the trailer ends and it's Mark giving a ultimatum to humanity is really it's really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would assume that's this like alternate version of Mark, right? It's like we're diving into the multiverse. I think the trailers, I think it wants us to think, oh, it's our Mark, but I think it's very clearly this like alternate version of him that's taken over either our world or another world.
Yeah, they'll talk about that guy who was opening other dimensions with his powers.
Mhm.
Yeah, it could be that.
Yeah, I mean, like I was talking about it a bit. Like there was such a thing where a lot of people didn't know what the show was until they watched the first episode, right? So they didn't know. Like I think people thought it was just this fun superhero show, this like fun little journey. Um, and then we watched the first episode, and it's like, it's not that at all. Like, this man's
Yeah,
murdering everyone. There's blood everywhere. This show is so brutally insane.
yeah. The show starts so family friendly, and in the end, in the almost post credit scene, it's like, man,
Yeah.
it's like they got a child jefe. Sorry, it was a little French.
No, that's okay, man. Yeah, no, I'm very excited for season 2. I can't believe it's almost here. That's almost out. Again, we've been waiting such a long time for it to actually come out, and it's like, oh, it's here now. Okay, let's talk about it. I'm very excited to see what the season had in store. I enjoyed the Adam Eve special that came out like 2 or 3 months ago. That came out, and I was like, I want more. So I'm very excited for it to finally be coming back.
Yeah, yeah. When it's coming?
In 2 weeks, I think it's the first week in November. So
Nice.
yeah, but it's very soon. It's very close. I just think like these like last several weeks are going to be absolutely insane because we have obviously Loki's here, Gen V's here.
Yeah, yeah. When I watched the first season, I feel like nobody talked about Invincible until the last episode.
Yeah.
And that last episode was so good that it makes all the first season that some people will think that the figures to the last episode it could be filler, but for me it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, I think that's just kind of like the culture of the internet, where like a lot of people wait until the show's all out, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna binge the whole thing. And I mean, I think it's just like one incredible binge, and I think in a world where there are so many like superhero projects coming out, um, this show I think really just stand out among the rest. And like I think
Yeah,
a lot of shows now are kind of doing the style of like the more dark, gritty, bloody superhero stuff. Um, but I still think that this show does one of the best jobs at it for sure.
yeah, and not other show has an antagonist like Omni-Man by J.K. Simmons.
Hmm.
That is a really good villain, which I don't put on my list, but
Hmm.
I really think is very good.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great. I loved him in the show, and I'm excited to see what he does this season because it seems like he's back and he's going to be doing some stuff this season. Again, I haven't read the comics. I know a lot of people have, like a lot of people know what's coming, and I'm very excited to see what everyone's so excited for.
Yeah, yeah.
Alrighty, let's move along here to some MCU news. There was a lot of like MCU stuff dropping this week of like the future of the franchise and stuff that happened from the past. And let's talk about this first one. So Craven the Hunter was originally pitched for the villain of No Way Home. So I are you a fan of No Way Home?
Yeah, I really like that movie. In the series, in the cinema, I have a really good time. And then when I watched it again, it was worse, but it's still good for me.
Hmm.
I really like it. All how the death of Peter, the death of May, Aunt May, and all that, it was very good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean I love No Way Home. I thought it was such an insane experience. Obviously, like this was a once in a lifetime thing. That's
Yeah,
like obviously this like multiverse thing is very popular currently. Everyone's kind of doing it. Everyone's kind of diving into it. And the Spider-Man one is one people have been wanting to see for a very long time. Like having Toby, Andrew, and Tom all in the same room, all talking to each other, getting to save people together. That's like the dream team people have been dreaming for like forever now. And to see it on the big screen finally, I would not have traded that in for anything.
Yeah, it was a very fan service, but it was good fan
Mhm.
service. Because the other two Spider-Mans, Andrew and Toby, help a lot of the progression of Tom as a character. And when I'm helping when not killing the Green Goblin, and look a better path of for Spider-Man.
Mhm. Yeah, no. No. I like it is very fan servicey. But like I don't think fan service is always bad. Like I think fan service now, like I think it has a very bad rap where like it's fan service, that means it's terrible and bad, that means it's lazy. No, I think that just means they're doing things for the fans and they're making fans happy. Like they're doing the things fans are asking for. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, no,
Um
no. If it's handled good, it can be awesome. Awesome. And Craven the Hunter, I don't think how he could fit in. Like it was all past villains, and Craven was never shown before.
mhm.
It could be a villain of the week in some montage or something like that, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean I think if Craven was in the movie, it would have been a very different film, right? Like I don't think it would have been this multiverse film. I don't think we would have seen Toby or like Andrew in here. I think it would have been a very Craven centric movie with Craven trying to hunt down Peter now that the world knows he's Spider Man. Like I think that's what the plot would have been. And as a movie, I think could have been very good as well. Like I think like Craven's a villain I've been wanting to see in a Spider Man movie for a while. Like obviously he has his upcoming film coming up in the Sonyverse. Um, but I don't know a lot of people that are super excited for that.
Yeah. The Sony universe is not really looking good for me. I really like the Venom movies,
Hmm.
and the first two because the Venom and Eddie dynamic. I think they work pretty well, and I think they make a great character to have in their movies.
Hmm.
But Craven, I only in the comics. I watched Craven in animated series
Hmm.
like Ultimate Spider-Man or Spectacular Spider-Man, but I only read one comics and on Craven that was in the last Hunt of Craven, I think. The only famous comic Craven, Craven comic. And it was it's in my top favorite villains because of this comic, and I think that was really good.
Sure. Yeah. No. I really enjoy him as a villain. I think he is one of my favorite like Spidey villains. So I would have loved to have seen him, and I hope we still get that chance at some point because like obviously like the MCU is still going on. We still got stories that we're telling. Um and I think he's going to become pretty popular. Like he's getting that movie obviously, but he's also in the upcoming Spider-Man game which comes out tomorrow. If anyone else is playing, but I think he is going to become more popular, and I do think he is going to have more of a fan base going forward. So hopefully throw him in like a Spider-Man 4 or Spider-Man 5. We'll see.
Yeah, it could be really great.
Alrighty, let's move along. So this one's kind of funny. Not funny, but in our time, in our timeline, Tony Stark is officially dead in the MCU. And with that, it's been about 5 years since Avengers Endgame came out, which is insane for me to think about. Like it feels like it was just yesterday this movie came out.
Yeah, it's weird because Phase 4 is very long and it has series and movies. It feels like it was in the last year when this movie dropped.
Yeah, no, it does not feel like it's been this long. And like phase 4 really went by quick. Like it was a really quick phase. But like with that being said, there's so many movies. There was like 30 movies and like 30 movies and shows in phase 4. So much came out, so much has come out since then. What has your kind of thoughts been on the MCU since this movie came out? Because obviously there's a lot of opinions um about and
Um,
everything since then. Like a lot has happened.
yeah, the Phase 4 was an introduction for a lot of characters, and really a lot of them I like Moon Knight, I really like. Miss Marvel, I didn't really like the series, but the character of Kamala Khan, I really like her personality and his role in the show. Um, and well, I hope this for of course the Avengers movie that will come. It can be very good if a good director and good writers can have these good characters and make a great movie. But I don't know how I really feel about Phase 4 because it has some really good things like What If that Doctor Strange episode, or What If, it was like top MCU and has a really things I really didn't like Black Widow or things like that.
Yeah, no. I'm Phase 4 was definitely I think a very weird journey because I mean I enjoyed most of it. I think it had a lot of great stuff. Um but I think it was definitely their like experimental phase. It was their let's try some different stuff, see what works, see what doesn't. Um and I think we've definitely seen that. Like there was some really good stuff that come out, some really stuff I wasn't a fan of. And I do think that the fandom and the franchise has definitely changed
Yeah.
since this moment, and most would argue for the worse. And I think the way I would argue for the worse is because I do think a lot of the fans have now kind of left the fan base and are moving on, and a lot of people are tired of the MCU, and we're now about 30 some movies in and 9 or 10 shows in, and it's as this thing grows and as it gets bigger and larger, and we are moving into these bigger projects from next year and the year after that. um I'm very curious to see where we go next, and where the future of the franchise does ultimately go.
Of course, I really think the fandom is sometimes a little too harsh in the MCU.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's true that some of their best characters are in not really good movies like Thor 4, Love and Thunder, or dead or retired like Captain America and Iron Man. And it's really sad because for me, I started the MCU because the Avengers movie and of course Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. and he's gone. Sometimes I don't like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I do think Tony dying was the right move for the MCU. I think Tony kind of capping off that saga for like the MCU was a good call. And as we do kind of like transition into the new phase of the MCU, obviously we get new faces, we get new characters. Um, the issue
Yeah,
I go ahead. I'm sorry.
no problem. Yeah, I think killing him was the right call. But I also think it has to be another like Tony Stark kind of persona, like
Mhm.
was the embodiment of the new MCU, which it could be Tom Holland or Doctor Strange, but
Mhm.
it's really not clear now.
Yeah, no, I
And
I would 100% agree. Like there are a lot of big and great characters currently, but there is no current like leader of the MCU. Like there's no like we haven't had this like Avengers level type movie that can establish who is kind of the head of the MCU. Like I have a feeling that's going to be Sam. Like I have a feeling that like he's going to kind of take that mantle up with Sam, Doctor Strange, um, Captain Marvel, probably maybe Spider Man, but it kind of seems like he wants out. So I could see maybe Tom Holland taking a dip. But yeah, no, I definitely think Phase Four needed some kind of team up type movie, something to like really establish who are the leads of this franchise.
yeah, like the MCU now is kind of faceless.
Mm,
It has no new guy to look up for.
hmm
We don't know who will be the next leader of the Avengers. We suppose it could be Sam, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think next year we're going to get a lot of answers because like Cap 4 is supposed to be coming out next year. Deadpool 3 is coming out, which I think will establish a lot of that kind of stuff as well. So
Yeah,
I'm curious for next year. I think we got some interesting stuff coming out next year. Um,
yeah. Hopefully, I hope it's great.
yeah. And yeah, let's talk about kind of our final story here. So according to Kevin Feige, the MCU has only begun to scratch the surface of the MCU. So this was something that a lot of people did like people didn't like this statement and people were very mad about the statement because like again there's a lot of people who don't want the MCU around anymore, who are kind of sick of it and stuff like that. I was very shocked how many people were like shocked by the statement. Like there are a lot of MCU characters. Like there are a lot of just Marvel characters in general that we can adapt from. Um, do you
Yeah.
agree that that there's still a
Um,
lot to do?
let's see. Marvel has a lot and a lot of characters. It could be Marvel history for the end of the time, and I think some it could be really great. And Ken Feige saying that it's I think it's good because if we had a statement like say no, the MCU is going to an end, but no, we have X-Men, we have a lot of Spider-Man apparently. Like when No Way Home came out, they say that it will be like 9 Spider-Man movies. Um, Marvel can do a lot of stuff. The Fantastic Four, all of this can be really good movies, really good series,
Mhm.
animated movies. Uh, it could be a lot of things, but the really thing that I want to be is that it's quantity, no, quality over quality.
Mhm.
Quantity. That,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's. I would argue that's most people's kind of issue with the MCU currently is that they are putting out so much stuff at such a fast rate, and it is hard for them to course correct when things aren't as good, and when fans are like, "Hey, this needs fixing." Um, and I 100% agree. I do think they need to take a little bit of a pause. And I kind of think that's what they're currently doing. Like we heard last week about, or like 2 weeks ago, about the like Daredevil stuff and how they're scrapping that and starting over. And they're like remarketing how they're making their shows, which I think is a great idea. Um, so I would agree. I would 100% agree that this is their time to like slow down, look at what the fans want. How can you make genuinely great movies and great series and great projects that people will want to come back to for sure.
Yeah, like and they talked the past week about the showrunners having no part in the series of Marvel until now. That's crazy. Like a multiple season series. That's what we want. I want a second season of Moon Knight, Miss Marvel. Like
Yeah.
it's weird that they didn't think of that.
Yeah, no, it is. It definitely is a very strange thing where, like, like they wanted to make all these main shows and all these new shows, and I was very excited for these shows because I love TV. I think it's amazing. But like I think they were missing the core things that make a TV show a TV show. Like not making pilots, not having a showrunner. These second season shows were just not a thing. So the fact that we didn't get any of this kind of stuff was absolutely insane to me, and I'm excited. I'm so hopeful for where their TV stuff goes forward and where we end up taking them for sure. Um, let's answer this question. They said a Incredibles live action is a great idea. So, are you a fan of the Incredibles?
And yeah, I really like the movie. The second one, no. But the first one, I think it's really cool and one of the best superhero animated movies.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, live action, it could be great.
I I mean, it's probably my favorite superhero movie ever. Like, it's one of my all-time favorites. I personally wouldn't want a live action. I don't think. Maybe a sequel to the second one if it's good. Like, I wasn't a fan of the second one either. I was very like disappointed. But maybe who knows? Who knows? The Stranger said, "I'm excited for Invincible season 2." Me too. I'm very excited. Very excited to see what we do there. And yeah, that's basically all the news stories we kind of have for today. So let's move into kind of our main topic today, which is some of our favorite villains. It's Halloween season. It's the spooky season. I thought it'd be very fun to dive into some of our favorites. Um, so you're our guest. You're our guest today. What's one of your favorite villains?
One which I say um, before, Craven. In that comic, the Last Hunt, it was very insightful of his mind and why he does that he does, why he does like the thing he does. And I think that was very cool to see that side of a like weekly villain, and make me respect him a lot more than I think I would think about that Spider-Man villain like that.
Yeah, no, I think Craven's an incredibly fun villain. I think having this villain that wants to like hunt down his prey and being this like predator for Spider-Man and all these other like Marvel heroes, I think is such a fun storyline. And again,
Yeah,
I think like Craven as a character is interesting, which is why I think everyone's trying to cover him currently. Like again, he's in the upcoming Spider-Man game. He's getting his own movie. People obviously wanted him for the like Spider-Man MCU stuff. So yeah, I think Craven's an absolutely amazing pick. I think that's a great pick for you.
yeah. In his comics, I don't want to spoil nothing, but he does something, and when he does it, he's insightful about it, and it's something like we don't really have with a lot of the Marvel villains.
Mhm.
So I really recommend that comic.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out for sure. Um, yeah. Let For my first one, I'm going to do a movie that we actually just talked about, and that is Syndrome from The Incredibles. Which I think he is again one of the greatest comic book like superhero villains that we've ever had. I think he's absolutely amazing. I think having this villain that again looked up to his hero, that looked up to his like predecessor, just to be like turned away, to be rejected. I think he's incredibly interesting. I think he has such a vibrant personality. I think he's just like one of the most like memorable superhero villains ever. I think the voice actor is absolutely incredible. I think everything. I just think he's a really fun villain.
Yeah, I like it very much too. He's very one of the reasons that I like that movie so much
Hmm.
is because his voice actor too, his attitude, his personality, his how did he handle everything. It's like also how it ended, how he died because of the capes. That was a really good twist.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, I think one of the like I love his ultimate plan to take down superheroes, and it's a quote that I use on the regular in like different like various ways, but like this idea is like, well, I'm going to turn everybody into a superhero. Like everyone is going to have that ability now, and when I do that, no one is really going to be superhero. Um, like no one is going to be special. You are going to be just like everyone else, and that's the thing that Mr. Incredible loves the most. He likes being special. He likes being super, and I think kind of taking that away in such a personal way is
Yeah,
amazing.
one of the great things that make a villain a good villain it's like this yin yang that makes with the protagonist that follows each other to go greater than ever. It's like Dash has a dialogue of that too in the start of the movie when he's going back from the school. It's like um, it's like hinting towards that mentality that Syndrome has that if everybody is special, no one needs to be, no
Hmm.
one, and it's a really great mentality.
100%. No, I think it's a great message. I think it's a incredible plan. I think he's just a very fun villain. Okay, so who's your second favorite villain?
Uh, no, Craven is not my first.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
going like backward. But one of my favorite villain, it would be Kingpin from the
Mm,
Daredevil series.
that's a great pick.
Yeah, he has ray cinematography in all of his scenes. When he's cooking, when he's just standing and looking at and a wall, like it's like the like Jin Yang thing I said earlier. About Kingpin will be Daredevil if Daredevil wouldn't care to kill, and he wants to make a great city too, but he doesn't matter how many people kills if he makes.
Yeah, no, I think that a Kingpin is such an incredible. I think he's one of the best like casted like superhero villains ever. Like that actor is an absolute like treasure trove, and I'm very glad that he was one of the first kind of people to come back from the like Netflix era of like characters. Like I think that he is such a presence and such a like you feel the like fear, and like he's such an icon.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio does a really, really good job with that.
So good, yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's an amazing pick. He's definitely up there. Like I think I'm very curious about what he's going to do in the MCU kind of going forward because like obviously he came back in like the Hawkeye series, and some people loved him in that. Some people were kind of like disappointed with his return. And obviously he's in the upcoming Echo show that comes out in the early next year. He's obviously in the upcoming Daredevil show that's kind of getting reworked and moved around.
Yeah,
So I'm curious.
yeah. In the Hawkeye show, I was kind of disappointed, but I watched some deleted scenes, and I really like that the a deleted scene that he has in the earlier. But I wish that could be in the show, but it's not. And I'm really disappointed for that because he had a really good scene. You can find it in Disney Plus, where he talks in a meeting where the mother of Kate, I think,
Mhm.
and it's a really good scene. And I think Marvel could handle Kingpin very well if they really care.
Sure. Yeah, no, I thought he was great. So that was your first one, right?
Yes,
Okay, so do you want to do your second one then?
yes. And my second one, it could be Dio Brando from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Mm.
I don't know if you should see that anime, but it's a really good villain that's really all of top of his head and really a crazy person, and it's really great. It has a great personality, and he's really in all of the show. Like he's not really present in all of the show, but he's the consequence of his actions is really everywhere in almost all of the series, and it's a really great villain.
That's great, man. Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I have nothing that I can add. But I've heard that show is just like incredible, and I hear it has
Yeah,
such
it's
a fan
really
base.
over the top in everything, and I like it for that mostly.
Yeah, that's great, man. I think that's a I would assume it's a great pick, but I trust you. I bet it's great.
It's not actually the best villain of the show, but
Mm,
it's my favorite.
that's fair. That is fair. All right, next up here, and I wasn't sure if I would add him or not, but I feel like he is one of the most iconic villains of all time, and I felt like I just kind of needed to add him somewhere, and that's Darth Vader. Um, so like I am not like a massive Star Wars person. Like it's not like among my favorite franchises of all time. But like even before I ever watched Star Wars, like I could have never watched the movies or anything, and I think he's still one of, if not the most iconic villain ever made. Like his presence, his
Yeah,
personality, his voice, his lightsaber, his fights. He's so iconic. His voice, oh my gosh, it's just everything about him. I think it's just so unbelievably special. And I would argue, like, even again, if you've never seen a Star Wars thing ever, you probably still know who Darth Vader is.
yeah, yeah. I also not a really Star Wars person. I watch
Mhm.
all the movies, and
Yeah.
my favorite thing of Star Wars is the Mandalorian series. uh, but yeah, I think that Darth Vader is great, but I am a really big fan of before Darth Vader, how the Anakin's character
Mhm.
fall into darkness. That's for me the best thing of his character as a villain. Because as a villain, I really never see him that intimidating from my perspective.
Mhm.
Because like the mask, I really didn't fall for this character, but I really like the how the character works. Like when Anakin, how he starts fall in the darkness and start to corrupt, and it's really cool for me. That,
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, I mean, those like prequel movies aren't a lot of people's favorites. I personally I do really enjoy them, and I love getting to see his journey turning into this legendary villain. Like we all know it's coming. Like we know he's going to take that shift, but it's seeing how he gets there and how he gets to that point that I think is just it's just a lot of fun. And again, I think Vader, he just had to be on my list. I don't know how I could not put him on my list.
Yeah.
So what's your net number 3?
My third pick, it's going to be the Green Goblin.
Mm.
In almost all of his iterations, I think it was great. Like in the Sam Raimi movies, it was awesome, but like I don't remember the name of the actor. William Dafoe is
Mhm.
great
Yes.
in his performance. In the Ultimate Spider-Man series, the animated, I think maybe the Green Goblin is the best thing that has that series because it shows the corruption and madness that comes with the Green Goblin when and how Spider-Man deals with that things. Because in the Ultimate Spider-Man show, Spider-Man is always joking and it's irritating sometimes. But when the Green Goblin comes around, it's all about Harry and how serious that is, and it's really great for me.
Yeah, no, I think he's just a great villain. Like I really do like he's probably one of the most iconic uh just villains just like in general. Like I think no matter like I think as a Spider-Man fan it is hard to ignore um like Green Goblin as one of the top villains. And I think like I loved him in the original movies, but I do think ultimately when he came back in in No Way Home, there that was such an insane journey. Like getting to see him come back and I think really get to play as the villain and get to be that villain and get to like totally unleash and kind of be this like jokery type character that I think he's always kind of wanted to play was so great. It was such a great time.
Yeah, for me, the first time I see the movie, I couldn't believe how great that fight was in the building and the Liberty Statue. It was both really great fights, and I really feel for the characters.
Hmm. Yeah, no, yeah, he's great. He's he's always a great pick. All right, for my I think this is my third. Yeah, it's my third. I have and again I think I've been picking a lot of like the big popular ones. But also I think he's very just really great villain. And I put Thanos. I think Thanos is just such a I think it was such a big cultural moment where like everyone was talking about Thanos. Like when that movie came out, everyone like he was the star of the show. I think he was the star of everything, and everyone loved everything about him. And like he was the first villain where I was seeing people be like, "Hey, he was kind of right. Like what he like obviously he was killing billions of people, um, but also like he was doing ultimately what was right and he was ultimately saving people and he was saving the earth and he was doing all this stuff and he is such obviously he is the villain but you really feel for him and what he's trying to do and he's trying to make these sacrifices for like everyone. And again like I don't know if he's among my all-time favorites but I think he's really good.
Yeah, and this was my thing with Thanos. Thanos is a great character, but I really don't like his plan. I know he's mad. He's the Mad Titan, I think, is in English. Um, but his plan, it really, for me, doesn't
Hmm.
make really sense because if you kill half humanity in a century, the popularity comes back at 100%.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like if you destroy the stones, you can do it that again, and the sources will still run out, and I will think with the infinite stones, why don't make infinite race sources? And I don't know, I don't like his plan, but I really like his character and his performance in Infinity War. I think it was really great. I know him before Infinity War because
Hmm.
of the Superhero Squad show, animated show. I think it was with that I get to know him, and I was really excited when he appeared in the first Avengers movie.
Sure. Sure. Okay, so what's your number 4?
By number four, I have Vilgax from Ben 10. And I watched the past months. I watched Blue Beetle, and it reminded me the final part of when he's dropped down like an X. It reminded me of the end of the season one of Ben 10 Classic, and I watched it again, and Vilgax was so intimidating and so great, and with how he can control the Omnitrix, and it is a really great building in all of Benden Classic. In Alien Force, it's okay for me.
Yeah.
He really like dropped the ball for saying like that, and Ultimate Alien, I really didn't like that.
Ye-
But in Omniverse, I think it's funny sometimes, and I think it's really strengthening some others, and I really liked.
Vilgax is, I think, a great choice. I mean, like that's one of my favorite like franchises ever. I think that Vilgax is such I think he has such an interesting journey from show to show, because classic, I do think he is such a scary villain. Like he is
Yeah,
so intimidating, and it's like you really think this kid's about to die. You're like first watch through. Um I would agree though. I think the longer it goes on, like Alien Force is very weird for him. I don't think they quite knew how to work his character. Like I think he does just feel like a different character. Like it feels like they brought back another villain that looks like Vilgax but isn't quite Vilgax. And then I think in like the Ultimate Alien, I think they try to get back to his roots a little bit. Doesn't quite get there. And then the final show, I think they do kind of get back to what he was a little bit better, but I don't feel like it's ever up to the par of classic.
yeah. And also, in the first time I watched Ben 10, obviously for me was in the Spanish dub, and when I watched it these recent years in the English dub, I really didn't like the voice in Ultimate Alien.
Hmm.
I feel like I don't know. I didn't believe that I was Vilgax. But yeah, the classic series Vilgax is really, really great.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So my next one here I have is the Reverse Flash. Now, I'm mainly kind of like I like him as a villain as a whole, but I am mostly talking about the like CW Thawne from that show, and I think that will always kind of be one of my favorite villains. Now, like he went from being Tom Cavanaugh to like he has all these other faces, and he has such a journey. But I think every time, like they use Thawne a lot in that show, he's used quite a lot. But I and sometimes it's not all up to par, but I think most of the time he does come back and he is there. He is really really good, and getting to spend 22 episodes with him, learning him, loving his character, loving Wells, to ultimately seeing his plan slowly get like unveiled and slowly knowing that he's Thawne, but like the rest of our group doesn't know it's him is such an interesting thing. And season 1 Flash, man, it was so good. So I mean, I love Thawne. I'm always going to love Thawne. I think he's always going to be one of my favorite villains, even if some of the stuff that he does later isn't as up to par.
Yeah, I really get it, and I can say a lot of fun because I check now, and I didn't finish season 1 of The Flash, but
Okay.
I am a real spoiler of Dawn being Reverse Flash,
Yeah.
and I also think this is funny that a lot of people, I don't know too much about this thing in the English community, but a lot of people confuse the Flash, Reverse Flash with Zoom,
Hmm.
and I really think they could make another suit for Zoom, because it really gets confusing when it's Zoom or it's Reverse Flash.
Yeah, no. The like show I think was definitely a big thing for people where it's like, oh wait, so they're two separate people now and there's Zoom and Thought. Like, yeah, it's definitely I don't think the show helped with that at all.
Yeah,
Based on the comics and stuff like that. But I love both
because
Zoom and Thawne in the shows as well.
I watched the Flashpoint Paradox movie,
Mm,
the animated one,
yes.
and the first time I watched it, I think, oh, this is Reverse Flash, but no, it was
Yeah. But all right, what is your number 5?
not. It's like a tie between Doctor Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb and
Good choice.
Ice King from Adventure Time.
Mm, okay.
It's both like similar characters, like they are cartoonish and fun in the first time, but when you know the backstory of both of them, you feel really sorry and you get why they're like that. And they are really more than villains. They are more compelling people that in it they make a really good part of this each show.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can speak on Doof. I absolutely love Doof. I think I mean, I even have a hard time thinking him as like a villain now, where I think he's just like a character in that show, right? Like he's not a
Yeah,
very good, like he's not good at being a villain, but he's a great villain. You know, like he's such a fun time to watch, and
it's like
um,
Kevin 11. I really like Kevin 11 as a character in the
yeah,
trio, but I really like him as a villain. But it's complicated to think when they start the villain and when they start the character.
yeah,
Well, with Kevin is quite easy, but when Doofermans or Ice King is really hard to say.
yeah. No, I mean, I love Doof. I'm excited. I'm curious to see what they do with him in like the upcoming 5th season that's coming out, 5 and 6,
Yeah,
because like that show's coming back. And like he went through so much growth. I'm almost afraid for them to like backtrack him.
yeah. I don't know them. I follow that poem Meyer. No, I
Yeah,
don't know how to pronounce in YouTube, and I saw his shorts, and I see recently how he started voice acting again different years,
yeah,
and I'm really excited for the 5th season. But I don't know if they make back to the villain with Doctor Doofenshmirtz and Perry Platypus.
hmm,
I would really like. I don't know. It's if it's fun and cool. I okay if he comes back to a villain. And well, in the end, we know how it ends.
sure, sure, yeah. It does seem like they are going before the events of the movie, so it does seem like it's back to like the status quo a little bit. I think it's still like it's like a different summer. They're still like he's still a villain. Perry's still fighting Doof, so I'll be curious to kind of see what they do with it for sure. And then my fifth one, and I had a couple here. I wasn't sure which one I would ultimately go with. Because I wasn't sure if I should save it for if I ever do this again. But I'm just going to go with Scar from The Lion King. Uh, uh, I mean, The Lion King's my favorite film ever made. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I think it's amazing, and I think Scar has such a presence to him. He has such a personality to him. I think he's like arguably one of the best characters in that movie. Like, obviously he is the villain, and obviously he is the bad guy. And you don't want him to kill his brother, but he's also so much fun to watch do it. And seeing his master plan come to life, and he's one of the rare Disney villains that win. Like, he kills his brother, he wins, he takes over Pride Rock. And that's so much fun. He has such a presence to him. I think he is one of the best like Disney villain songs of all time. Love me some Scar. I'm excited for the Mufasa movie next year. I'm curious to see what they. I assume Scar is going to be in that. We get to see more of their back and forth. So, Scar is my number 5. Those were the 5 I chose.
It was really good list.
Thank you. Yours
Yeah,
was good too, man. Yeah.
thanks.
Let's look at chat really quick. Daren, are you into video games? I mean, I'm not good at video games. I'm pretty bad, but I did just buy the PS5 for I can play Spider-Man tomorrow. So, I guess so. Are you like a video games guy at all?
Yeah, I really like this. I have a lot of video games in Steam. And really play so time to time. But yeah, I have to wait for the Spider-Man game to go to PC to play it. I will wait because I really don't want to have PS5, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on here and chatting with me a little bit. Do you have anything that you want to like shout out to like promo for people that are watching?
No, thank you, for for the invite. And I don't really know if I have anything more to say, but it was a really good podcast, and I don't know. It was really fun. I didn't know that I could talk too much that much in English, but I had a really great time.
Thank you, man. Thank you. But yeah, guys, with that being said, I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.